Hello, friends. Welcome to another Stamp With Me Tuesday. Tonight, we are going to do another fabulous fun fold using pattern paper. And I think you're really going to like this. It's really quite easy to make. And I had so much fun. I made so many of these. If you are here and watching live, go ahead and leave me a comment. Let me know. Let me know what you're up to this week. Let me know, is it spring at your house or not quite spring yet? If you are watching the replay, a special welcome to you. I'm so glad you are here. I love to know that people come back and watch the replay later too. So go ahead and leave me a comment. Let me know that you watch the replay. If you guys can let me know if you are stamping along with me tonight or whether you are just watching. I always love to know that too. Love to know who is stamping along with me. If this is your first time here, I hope that you will hit that subscribe button so that you always know when I go live. And if you haven't met me before, I am Heidi with Onigo Stamping, and I help you reconnect with your inner artist to create beautiful handmade cards and gifts using stamps, ink, and paper. I have lots of tips, tricks, and inspiration to share with you, and that is what we're going to do tonight. I'm going to go ahead and make my workspace look just a little bit bigger. It's not actually bigger, it just looks bigger. So you can see what I'm doing a little better. So hello, let me see. Hello, Fonda. And Fonda's just watching. Vicky is watching from Arizona. Vicky says it's 70 degrees there, but that's in Arizona. It should be 70 degrees there. Janine is watching, and Ellen and Anne. Hello. You're going to craft along on the replay. Gotcha. That sounds like a great idea, Anne. All right, let me show you the supplies that I already have here. I'm using the A Little Latte pattern paper. This is the new pattern paper, new designer series paper, just went live today. It is one of the online exclusives. What is an online exclusive? It just means that it's not in a catalog. You can only see it online, right? Like Target has those, right? You go to target.com and you can find things on target.com that say online exclusive. They're not in the stores. Well, here it's only on the website, not in the catalog. So this is A Little Latte designer series paper. It has a coordinating stamp set that I'm going to be using later this month, but I couldn't resist this. I'm going to make an Easter card tonight. So I have 3 pieces of this. It is 5 1/4 by 1 3/4. Now mine, I cut it off from the same piece so you can kind of see they match. I'm going to try to keep those in order because it looks kind of cool when I do it. You don't have to though. You can even use different patterns if you want. And then I have a piece of basic white that is 5 1/4 by 1 3/4. No, Fonda, I don't have nail polish on tonight. I took it off. It's just kind of, I'm on spring break. I'm on spring break mode and I need to redo it. I haven't. All right, then I have another piece of that pattern paper. It is 5 1/4 by 4 inches. I have 2 pieces of lemon lolly. One of these is 5 1/2 by 8 inches, and the other one is 5 1/2 by 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, and it's scored at 4 1/4. And I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to start by folding that in half on that score line, and I'm going to give it a little squish. All right, and I am going to adhere my pattern paper, that piece of 5 1/4 by 4 inch pattern paper, to the front. Now, when I do this, I'm only going to put adhesive around the edge. I want to leave it open in the middle, and you're going to see why in just a few minutes. So I'm using my multi-purpose glue. You can use Stampin' Seal if you prefer, or whatever your favorite adhesive is. All right, so I just put a little line all the way around the outside. And we will glue this on the front. There you go. We'll just glue that right there. Super cute already. And I just started. All right, I'm going to use my Nested Essentials dies. You could use any sort of basic shape die. I used the scalloped, what are they called? The scalloped contours dies on some of these. I've used, or I don't know that I used, but you could use the stylish shapes dies, anything, any just basic shape. I'm going to grab the biggest rounded rectangle. I really like this rounded rectangle. And I'm going to cut this out of the front. So I'm going to grab my cutting plate. I have to use my big cut and emboss machine because this is a big piece of paper. So I know if there's a list of stamp sets that go with the punches. Oh, not that I know of, Janine. That is a very good question. Not that I know of. Unfortunately, I think you would have to go back and look at old catalogs to try to match those up. All right, I'm going to lay this in the front. I'm going to grab a sticky note. And I'm just going to stick this on here just to hold that down. I'm trying to turn this at just a little bit of an angle. I can't get much of an angle on here because it's such a big piece of cardstock. But the more you can get at an angle, the easier it is going to be to run it through your machine. So I'm actually, you know what? I have a really old cutting plate. I use my cutting plates for a really, really long time. And this one is super, super old. But I'm going to pull it out for this one because sometimes when you cut and you have a really old plate, it'll leave the back side of your paper really kind of textured. And I don't want that. So I'm just going to set that aside. I'll use it again later. And I'm going to put a newer plate underneath. And then I have an even newer plate that I can put on top. So I always have backup plates. I like to use my plates as long as I can, but I always have backups too. So I'm just rolling this through my cut and emboss machine. Oh, I made a mistake already, y'all. It's okay, we can fix it. We can fix it. I forgot to do a step. I got so excited about doing this that I forgot to do a step, but it's okay. All right, so we should have, you can see this is going to come right out, and I can actually pull those apart because I didn't put adhesive in there. But I totally forgot that one of the things I wanted to do is I wanted to adhere my first strip of the pattern paper right inside here. So I'm just going to go ahead, I'm going to adhere it now, and then I will just cut this again. If I had adhered it sooner, it would have been all cut at once. But I forgot. So I'll just put some adhesive on there. We'll glue this down, and then I will run this back through to cut out this. So if you're watching the replay and you do this, you can adhere this first and then just cut it once. But I forgot because I'm kind of forgetful. All right, so I'm going to put this back on my cutting plate. I'm putting it back to the front again because I don't know. I just want to get it right. I don't want to have those. I don't know. I just want it to be exactly the same. So I'm just kind of sliding this in here. Make sure it's in the right hole. We'll adhere that down, and I'll run this through again to cut out that back piece. All right, rolling that through. Here we go. So now we'll peel that off. Take this out, and that takes off that little bit there. And now you can see I have that first piece right inside. So there's the front of our card. I'm going to set this aside for a minute, and I'm going to pull out the other piece of cardstock that is 5.5 by 8 inches. And I'm going to do a little bit of scoring on here. So I'm going to score it at 2 inches. Score it at 2 inches. We're going to score it at 4 inches. And we're going to score it at 6 inches. Okay. Now I'm going to turn this, I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees, and I'm going to line it up at the 3/4 mark here. If you used a really big die, you might have to do this at a 1/2 inch instead of 3/4 inch, but I'm going to use the 3/4 inch, and I am going to cut with my cutting blade up to this first score line. Okay, so there's little marks. I'm going to pull out my cutting blade so I can show you. So on the side of the cutting blade, hopefully get this to, there we go. You can see there's a line on the side of the cutting blade. That is where the blade is. So you want to get that to line up with that score line. So I'm just going to run that up to the score line. Okay, so I have one cut. And then I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to slide this down, And I'm going to cut over here at 3/4 as well. And I'm just cutting to that score line again. All right. So I have 2 cuts. Now we're going to cut along that score line between those 2 cuts. So I'm just going to put this back in my paper trimmer at 2 inches. And I'll line this up with the first cut. And I'm just going to cut it down to the second cut. All right. And that gives us what looks like a football goal. The goal post, right? Kind of a goal post look. All right. So now I'm going to start folding this. Let me see. I'm going to pull this way. Pull in my bone folder. So I folded that back. We're going to fold this one this way. All right. And then these, I'm just going to carefully fold them down. And then I'm going to pull them open again. All right. So we're like this. I'm going to go ahead and oops, I did this wrong. You know what? I folded these wrong, but that's okay. We're going to fold this way. So fold them the other way. Kind of messed that up. Let me show you. So it's like this. Okay. So we have this hill here and we have a valley over here. We're going to adhere this to this side of the cardstock right here. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to fold this up, flip it over, and I'm going to put some adhesive right here. Okay. And then I'm going to line this right up with the right edge of my card. So this is the inside of my card. I'm going to take this. I'm actually going to turn this. It's just easier for me. And I'm going to line this up so it's lined up on the side, on the top. Everything is lined up. All right. So can you see that? We now have it like that. So then I'm going to fold this flat, but I have my little tabs sticking out. Those tabs, they want to stick out. Well, actually, what I'm going to do first, I'm going to adhere down my pattern paper and stuff just because it's a little bit easier to glue it while it is still completely flat. So I'm going to grab a piece of basic white. This basic white was 5 1/4 by 1 3/4, and it's going to go all the way over here. Now you could choose to put it someplace else. I'm putting it over here though. And then we're going to do the other 2 strips of pattern paper. So this one is going to go here. There we go. And one last one. And again, I kept these in order. So hopefully when we see this, it's going to create a nice effect. It's going to kind of look like it's going straight across, which is always nice, especially with a plaid. I think to get those plaids to kind of line up across there. So there we go. All right. So we have those all on there. We're going to go ahead, fold this down. And now, as I was saying, your tabs are sticking out. Okay. Leave those tabs sticking out. And we're going to put some adhesive just on the tabs. All right. Just on the tabs. We're going to keep those there, and we're just going to close our card. All right, go ahead and close the card. If you're using green glue, you want to hold it there for just a second. Actually, we'll just keep holding it there. Because now I'm going to adhere that piece of cardstock back in the center. All right. I put it in there, and now I can't get it out. There we go. But we're just going to adhere it over here where that pattern paper is on the inside of the card. We're not going to adhere it over here on the left. So just on the right, we will put adhesive in this little spot. Okay. It's nice. It shows you exactly where to put it. And then we'll line up our piece of cardstock back in that hole and just hold it down for a minute. My grandmother would be proud to see me lining up patterns. Yes. Yes. I'm sure all of my sewing friends would be very, very proud of the pattern lining that is happening here. All right. I'm just holding this down just for a minute, letting that adhere. And now we can go ahead and open this and check this out. So it's there, and it's like this. So that's the base for your card. I'm going to go ahead and finish this up, show you how to turn this into an Easter card. But yeah, isn't that fun? Isn't that so cool? I just love it. Anyway, so that's the simple base. And then it's up to you how you want to finish it. So I'm going to grab another piece of basic white. I'm going to go ahead and let me see, what am I doing? I want to cut a piece. I'm going to cut another piece with the nested essentials dies, but I want to grab the piece that is just one smaller. Okay, so this is we're gonna end up with a lemon lolly frame, right? Because this one's just a little bit smaller. So we'll have a lemon lolly frame on there. You don't have to, you could do something else entirely. And I'm gonna pop this on here and I'm gonna run this through my cut and emboss machine to just cut that out. All right. Now, my little piece went for a swim there. Went for not a swim, but well, it dived into a bin. All right, so I have a little piece of basic white, and I'm going to stamp on this. Let me show you what stamps that I'm using. Now, remember, we're making an Easter card. All right, we're making an Easter card. Here's the stamp set I'm using. You're going to love this. If the fun fold was not cool enough, I think this is even more fun. I was just really excited about this. So this is the stamp set, the Be My Valentine stamp set from the January mini catalog. I am going to start with some Lost Lagoon, and I'm going to stamp some little plants on here. So some stems with Lost Lagoon. And I like to use two different stems just so they're not the same. And let me see, I'm going to put this up just a little bit. We'll put this one in here. There we go. And I think just trying to like decide if I want to do. Yeah, let's come in here. I'm going to just add. Just going to add like that. Maybe that was weird, but that's okay. So I added some Lost Lagoon, and now I'm pulling out some lemon lolly. I'm going to stamp some lemon lolly flowers on here. Do some of these in lemon lolly because this is going to match our card, right? I use lemon lolly cardstock, and there's lemon lolly in that A Little Latte designer series paper. Now, because I just used lemon lolly, which is really light, I'm just going to wipe that off on my paper. Then I'm grabbing some petal pink, and we're going to stamp some more flowers in petal pink. So I'm just kind of filling in. So we have some petal pink flowers and some petal pink flowers and some lemon lolly flowers. All right, I'm going to set this aside. I'm going to grab a piece of cardstock in the white, and I'm going to use this big round one. I have the pecan pie. I'm going to ink up that big oval with the pecan pie. I'm going to stamp it off on some scrap paper, and then I'm going to stamp it on my piece of paper. And I'm going to do the same thing with this heart. All right. And then I'm going to grab this piece right here, and I'm going to stamp this full strength over top of that heart. There we go. And then I have another little flower. I'm going to make a little brown flower. All right. So there's our pieces. I'm going to grab my punch, And I'm going to punch. Let me see. Oh, I'm going to have to cut these apart because I didn't stamp them in the right spots. It's okay, though. Just cut that. All right, I'm going to punch out this oval. And then I'm going to punch out the heart. Can you figure out what I'm doing, Nina? All right, we're going to punch out this heart. And then I'm going to cut out this little flower because there's no punch for the flower, which is really too bad. All right. But this is pretty easy to cut. So I'm just going to cut around this, leaving a little bit of white, just a little bit of a border. There we go. So there's our little brown flower. You figured out it's a bunny. Yes, we're making a bunny. Rhonda, you knew exactly what I was making. I was so excited when I figured this out. I don't know if anybody else has thought of this, but I just saw the shapes and I was like, wait, we can make a bunny. All right, so I'm just going to cut off the stinger because we don't need that part. And then I can take my sea of flowers. Now, I do not have an Easter sentiment, unfortunately, so it won't say Happy Easter, but I think it's okay. Down to the end of my dimensionals again. So we'll put some dimensionals on there. And then we're going to add my little bunny body. And then I'm going to take the little ears. I'm going to add some little ears here. There we go. I'm going to slide these underneath. Pull those down just a little bit. There we go. And then I'm going to get a little mini dimensional, I think. Although I think I'm out of those too. All right. Mini dimensionals take a long time to use up. All right, so we'll just, oh, that's too big. I gotta cut it off. Put that little mini on there. And we'll add that on his little backside. Oops. There we go. So there's our little bunny. Our little bunny butt. Too much fun. All right, I'm going to add this to the front of my card. Out my glue just a little bit. So this I'm just going to center in the center of my lemon lolly, and there's our little bunny. There is our bunny on our fun fold card. So now when we open it, we can see that bunny inside too. He flips around. So there we go. And I have some other samples too. I have another bunny because I made the brown bunny. But I was like, well, let's make a little gray bunny. So here is the gray bunny, which I don't know which one is better, the brown bunny or the gray bunny. My hands are freezing, I think. But this one, I used the Up in the Air designer series paper, and I just stamped little petal pink flowers, and I used lemon lime twist in there. So there we go. Too much fun. All right. I did use the bee, though. I decided to make kind of a thank you card with the bee. And this one, I used the Delightfully Eclectic designer series paper, and I added that little bee on there. And then he, too, so it gets stuck sometimes, will open up. Now, this one, I didn't add that pattern paper. This is one of the first ones I made, and I didn't add that pattern paper over there, and I think I really like it. I like it with that extra piece of pattern paper, so that's why I decided to do it. So, Sheila, you like the brown one? All right, so there's that. And then those are like very, pastel spring. but I had to do a bright spring card. So I used another one of the new online exclusive designer series papers. This is the Flowering Zinnia paper, and I love it. It is so pretty. And this one, you can see, so when I remember how I die cut the front, I die cut the front and I took the pattern paper out of the cardstock. So what I did is when that pattern paper came out, it had, that stitching on there, right? Just like that we can see in the Melon Mambo. So I actually just stitched just inside it so I could take the pattern paper and add it onto the Melon Mambo frame, and the flowers line up because it's actually the same piece that I cut right out of there. So super fun. And then inside we have this. I accidentally glued this one on upside down. This one I actually used pattern paper for the inside. Instead of gluing the pattern paper onto cardstock, I actually just folded the pattern paper. So a little bit different, but still the same basic idea. So that's it for tonight. Thank you all for joining me. I am so glad you stopped by. Let me make myself a little bit bigger. There I am. I'm so glad you stopped by. I'm going to be back again on Thursday night. I have more cards to share with you. This Thursday, I'm going to be using the Let's Chat stamp set. We're going to make some fun cards with the Let's Chat stamp set. Bold, bright, beautiful cards. And I'm really excited to use these stamps. So it's going to be fun. I think you're going to like it. I hope to see you then. Oh, I don't want to forget. If you have not yet registered for the March online card class, we're going to be using the Flower Cart stamp set. If you haven't registered yet, tomorrow is the last day to register. So make sure you head over to my website, onygostamping.com, ONYstamping.com, and get registered for the March online class, because I do not want you to miss out on these fabulous cards. We're going to make 3 cards that night, including another fun fold card, because I love fun folds, using the Flower Cart stamp set. You don't need the dies to do the cards that I'm going to send you with the kit. You will, if you don't get the kit, if you just do the digital version, you'll need the dies to make the cards like I do. But for the class, you only need the stamps. But I would get the dies too, because when you buy the bundle, the stamps and the dies together, you get a 10% discount and you have them, so you can use them. Anyway, is there a name for this fun fold? Yes, I believe it is called a pop-out swing card, I think. A pop-out swing card. So thank you so much for joining me. I will see y'all again on Thursday. Have a great evening.